All right, you guys, today we're going to talk about finding the slope or the rate of change from a graph. Now, before we start, we have to understand how the lines specifically work with a graph. So we have a positive slope here. That means if we're reading it from left to right, we basically are going up the hill, okay? From left to right, if we are going down the hill, left to right, down the hill, it's going to be negative. Now, we also have two others. You could potentially have a horizontal line, just straight here. This means the slope is going to be 0. Or you can have a vertical line, straight up and down, which means the slope is undefined. That means the x values are the exact same. So if we were to take from our previous video a slope formula, and we take y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, when we subtract the x's because they're the same, we would get 0, which is an error in your calculator. So recap, positive slope from left to right going up the hill, negative slope down the hill. We have horizontal, that's the slope of 0, and a vertical line where the slope is undefined. Okay? Now, finding the actual slope of a line, given 2 points on it, is pretty straightforward. Now, we always have to go rise over run, which means we're going to go up first or down, depending on what point we choose, and then we always go left or right after. So we're always going to go up and down first, then left and right. Little way to remember this, you always have to rise out of bed before you can go running, for those people who actually like running. Now, how we're going to do this is we always want to just start at a specific point. So let's take this green line here. So I'm going to go from this point here, and then I'm going to go to here. So 1 and 2. Now, from this point, in order to get to this, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. That means that's my y value. That's my change in the y. So that's going to be my top number over. And then I'm going to go over 1, 2, which means I'm going to go over 2. Now, we look at this line, and it is supposed to be a negative slope, which means we can tack on a negative. It really doesn't matter which number here, the 3 or the 2 that's negative, as long as just one of them is negative. We can have negative 3 divided by positive 2, or we can have positive 3 divided by negative 2. Either way will work, and I'll show you how. So if we were to make this the first one and this the second point, then we would go in the y direction first. So we'd go up 1, 2, 3, and we get 3. And then we're going to go in the negative x direction, 1, 2, which means that we have a 3 over 2 as well. Now, taking this line here, it doesn't matter where we start. So I'm going to start from the middle point and work my way both up and down, just to show you, as long as we have at least 2 points, it doesn't matter where or which direction you go. So I always start in the y direction, which means from this point to this point, I'm going to go up 1, 2, and then I'm going to go over 1. So I went in the y direction 2, and in the x direction 1, which means my slope is going to be 2 over 1. Now we got to double check and make sure it's going to be positive or is it going to be negative. From left to right, we're going up the hill, so it is a positive slope, and our slope here is positive. It's a positive 2 and a positive 1. Now if I take it and I start again, and I go in the down direction from this point to this point, I'm going to go 1, 2, which means I went negative 2, and then I went left 1, which means I went negative 1. Well, a negative divided by a negative is a positive number. So we should, once we simplify, have 2 over 1, or just 2.